more clarity on Ox, Sia, Eben, and any of the others?
Yeah. So I think, yeah, Eben will give him proper time. Yeah, he had concussion, and he had a bit of a history on concussion. So I don't think Eben will play in his incoming matches. I think we're all targeting Argentina for that. So it's probably also. Loot might be ready next week. I think he's closer than the others. Ox, Ethan will be ready next week. Ethan Hooker will be available. Ox, Sasha, Krappies, all of them about 3 weeks before New Zealand will be ready. And did I miss somebody?
Sia.
Sia next week.
Ambrose, maybe if you could just talk us through the emotions. I think this will be your first Springbok game in about 8 years. Maybe just how you're feeling and just going into England.
Yeah, no, I think there's always nerves before a test match. But yeah, I'm super excited for the opportunity. And yeah, we're just looking forward to the game.
Ken and Cobus?
Rassie, just from your point of view, the man sitting next to you has kind of been in the wilderness for a while. What's changed? What have you seen that's got him back into the fold?
Well, firstly, I thought he played really well this season. Not obviously. My first year of coaching was 2018-19. I think I've already got 8 caps now, I think. And I think most of that were at that stage. But then obviously, now I can say the word obviously. Guys like Faf, Kobus, Jaden, a few of the guys, it was really well-established guys that played for us there. Even a guy like Herschel, was part of 2 World Cups, if I'm correct. So there were really a bunch of good nines playing really well. And sometimes it's not because one player is not playing well enough or not Springbok class. It is just because there's some other guys who's also playing really well. But I think none of us can look past the fact of how well he played this year. And then obviously there's a lot of some injuries, and there's some guys who lost form, and he gathered form, if I can call it that way. So yeah, I'm very happy for him personally, and obviously for us as the Springboks, it's nice to have him on board, and he gets his opportunity at home with Andre, where he's played a lot of rugby with. So hopefully that also helps him to, although he's got, I think, 8 or 9 caps, I'm not 100% sure. It's with somebody that is used to at the field, which you are familiar with.
Rassie, are you surprised by Scotland beating us in Argentina on Saturday? And how much did that play a role in your team selection for Saturday's test?
No, Scotland, that didn't play a role at all. If we played the first match, Italy, and the second match, England, this team was not picked for specific reasons surrounding Scotland. It was for us to make sure that when we go into the World Cup next year, we know who can do what, when, and how, and under pressure and not under pressure. So some combinations were more picked with that in mind. Then Argentina, us, New Zealand, and Australia is probably in the same boat. And I think that's what happened to Argentina. Scotland played really well, I thought. They're obviously a good team. I mean, they beat England in the Six Nations. So if you just go on those results, then probably this match will be tougher than last weekend, if you want to compare it like that. But we didn't do that. And I thought you could see Argentina, very few of their teams play in, or their players play in Argentina. They play in France and in England and in other countries and Japan and so on. And it's very tough in your first game. They didn't even have a warm-up game. I mean, they fly off, and the coach was a week before that in Port Elizabeth with the Barbarians. So that they would have had 3 training sessions, 5, 10 training sessions together before they played against Italy. Scotland, and Scotland would have had a whole Six Nations. So the Southern Hemisphere teams normally take a game or 2 to get some good rhythm and cohesion.
Rassie, obviously, if you look at the team, there's a lot of changes, but I guess you're counting on the continuity from the Bulls, especially in the pack and at 9 and 10.
Yeah, 9 and 10, as I said, I mean, I think Andre can play with most 9s, and I think Ambrose can play with most 10s. But it is definitely beneficial when the two of them went through to a final together. You know, they played against Glasgow. Glasgow beat them well, I think, the first time around, and then obviously they got the better of them later and vice versa. And yes, glad for them. The pack not necessarily looked at Bulls combinations. It was actually just seeing who's fit first of all, and then who we'd like to see perform well. I think it's the first time. I think our average caps, I quickly try to estimate there. I think it must be like 25 caps. Our average for our caps, which is not a lot. There's 11, 12 guys that got less than 10 caps in it. So I think we will definitely go into this match with a much less experienced team compared to Scotland. So this will be a nice test for a lot of these guys to see when we get to the important part in the next year or two, who of these guys are. And we think most of them, we won't have them here if we don't think they can do the job for us.
Rossi, just on Peter Slip moving back to 7 and Paul de Villiers getting a second game in a row. Just your thoughts on those selections as well, and just overall, given the market that the team on Saturday put down, what you expect overall in performance from these guys?
Yeah, it would have been great to give Cameron also another run. I thought he also did. We had a steady performance. Obviously, Sia is still not available here. You know, we know Peter's best position is 7 flank. Yeah, so it is nice to have him on 7 and to have giving Ivan a chance at 8. Sorry?
No, I was just saying, just with the market.
Yeah, no, the other guys played well. I mean, the score game was close at halftime, and you know they got 2 yellow cards at the end. When we got the yellow card, they came closer to us, and then when they got the 2 yellow cards at the end, we moved away from them. So I think one must calculate that also, that it was easier for us when they were 14 and 13 men, and it was easier for them when we were 14. But no, certainly I thought for the togetherness of the team really showed. Of course, that's normally, I know I'm repeating myself, but that's normally how, when we get to greatest rivalry or rugby championship, you know, we are really in sync already and we've played a lot together. But it's really tough to all of a sudden in 7 months just play a game. That game is in the past now, and I think these guys this weekend will maybe have to find their feet really quickly in the game to, like the other team did, a quick start, a fast start, not necessarily a scoreboard start, but the intensity start, and hopefully they can do the same.
Rassie, over this past weekend, 54 tries were scored in this competition, 385 core points. Initially you said you're not chasing log points, you're not chasing bonus points. Are you looking at it differently now? You see how tight those games were and how high scoring they were?
Yeah, well, not because the other teams are high scoring. I did see the guys on, none of them were kicking for touch, and I'm not sure if it was log points that they were chasing or was it the momentum in the games. Interesting thing, I think there was more maul tries scored in this opening round than altogether in the Six Nations, if I have my stats correct. So I want to give World Rugby credit there. I thought all games was excellent with opening up that there's a contest with the guy in the air after a contestable kick. It's a nice competition there. I think what people thought it's going to just be all mauling, but because you can't drag in a maul anymore, you have to put more numbers into a maul. And then the guys who stop the maul now has to get out and defend after that. So there's definitely more mauling, but then after the mauling, there's more tries because guys are tired of stopping mauls. You can't just put 4 guys in and drag a maul to the side. I think, you know, the scrum feet, which World Rugby has introduced, is getting a rewards where there's a good contest there and loose forwards must stay bound to make sure their props doesn't get scrummed back. So I think the product World Rugby is putting out by the law changes or the law adjustments or interpretations that they put out there, I think that played a big role. I think it was beautiful rugby in most of the games this weekend. I do think it's all of a sudden when you see a log, a table after a first round in June, July. It's weird to see that, and then all of a sudden you go and see, okay, now net 2 points suddenly all of a sudden counts. That was our mindset when we ran onto the field, but it, you know, when you then have the 4 tries, you can also relax a little bit and play a territory game because you've got your 4 log points. It's not like Super Rugby or URC or other games where it's 3 tries and more. It's 4 tries and you got a bonus point. So, yeah, but still, when you go into a test match, you know, you just want to win the test match because if you disrespect that, you'll probably lose it and then you might get a losing bonus point or maybe 4 tries. So a win is still the thing that counts the most.
Or did him playing at lighter over the weekend play a part in that? And then Kieran Horn, will he be covering fly half as well, or is he more 15 cover this week?
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, Gaza played hell of a while at 15, so you won't get a lot of box kick at 12, which you have to catch. You know, you will have to play a different role for us. I think we would like to see him there. We'd like to see Fassi at 15. I think that's more the case. We would like to see Fassi at 15, and we'd like to give Dukes a rest in this game. And we, you know, we want some senior guys in the backline as well. Ethan's injury, you know, Ethan was also somebody who can cover 12, 13 for us in this game. So it would have been good to maybe give him a run at 12. Kanan can maybe later in the game move to 13. So the cover for 10 and 15 would be Kieran. And yes, Kieran will be the cover. Did I answer all your questions? Yeah.
Ambrose, just on you coming back to the Springbok camp for the first time in quite a bit of time, just talk us through the differences between the camp that you were previously in and then the 2026 camp. And also, does it make it even more special that your return is going to be in Loftus, a stadium that you've been lighting up for quite some time as well?
Sorry, is that the camp in 2018 or?
2018 and then 2026, what are the differences in that space of time?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. Just say again, sorry.
So what are the differences in the camp in terms of what was being done by the regime in 2018 as opposed to what you find now in 2026 being
My
done?
vrou, hoe was ons 8 jaar terug, maar ek kan dit nie onthou nie. Hoe was ons 8 jaar terug? Hoe was die kamp toe gewees in vergelyking met nou?
Yeah, I think that's a long time ago. I can't really remember, but now it's great working under the coaches. I'm learning a lot every day, and I've missed a lot of guys, familiar faces. So yeah, it's just great to be in the environment and to learn from the guys.
Rassie, you mentioned Dukes getting a rest, and you know when you change up your selections, everybody always talks about you expanding the depth and you working and growing depth. But how much of a role does that other element that I mean, I saw a stat that England their players have played like sort of 30% more than you guys have. I'm talking about their player load in the last year. How much of a role does that also play in it? Because you're conserving a lot of. I mean, there are a lot of guys who are obviously going to be fresher because they don't play maybe as often. I mean, when England play, they play their top team just about every time. How much of a role does that play in your selection?
Yeah, no, a lot. I think the first thing is, Gav, when we train, I think people, when you look at the app, let me explain this, and see if I go too long, we can go a little bit longer, but I want to explain that. I believe if a player can handle the intensity of training sessions, if training session intensity is really hard, then the age of a guy should not be in reckoning. Because if he can handle the age, the intensity, and he doesn't get injured, and he's ready for Saturday, and he can perform on Saturday, then it means he's not too old. But if you start dropping the intensity of training sessions to accommodate older guys, which I was part of teams in the past, then you've got a great team on paper, but those guys are not match fit and ready for Saturday. So we try to keep the intensity of training sessions up there. If the older guys hang in there and they look after their bodies and they recover well and they can still play well on Saturdays, that means they're not too old. It's now the same with younger guys. Some guys break during the week and the intensity is just, or the season is just too long, or the matches is just too much. And we like to do both of that. Keep the intensity up and hopefully all the players, old and young and medium, can handle it. And then hopefully on Saturday, it's more or less the same, not pressure-wise. Pressure is different on a Saturday, but the intensity is the same. So the guys who didn't play last week would have had a really tough training week, but they didn't have that load which they had on Saturday. And that hopefully they will have a tough week this weekend, but hopefully that will help them because they are a little bit fresher than the guys that play a really tough match last weekend.
Ambrose, Rusty spoke about you and Andre playing together at the Bulls at Loftus. Can you speak to us about that, your relationship with Andre, and just how excited you are to sort of take that club form into international into the international team, and just how Andre is as a player?
Yeah, we know all Andre has a lot of experience. We've spent a lot of time together on the pitch. And yeah, I'm just excited to go into this game with him. But we know it's gonna be a challenge for us. It's different calling in the Springbok environment, but yeah, we just need to pitch up on the day and yeah, just give our all on the day.
Ambrose, when I last spoke to you, you were hoping to get called up to the box, and you just said you had to keep on working hard. Does it feel like all that hard work's paid off now for you?
Yeah, definitely. It's excited to be back, but we still need to, or I still need to grow and work hard to earn my place here. But it's all about putting the team first, and just if you play, you have to prep the guys really well, and if it's your time, it's just to give your all.
Rusty, just looking at Scotland, do you expect that they're the sort of side who can maybe test your defences a bit more than maybe England did?
Yeah, I think every match that we play against Scotland at the World Cup, every year we hear that's probably the best Scotland team in years attacking-wise, and we certainly feel that every single time when we go into the pitch. I know his name, Flav didn't play last Saturday. He'll probably come into the mix this weekend at a high-fast Loftus. I think they're arriving tonight. And they don't have a lot of clubs to pick from, but they do also pick players who play outside the two clubs which they have in the URC. People see that sometimes as a negative. We sometimes believe that can maybe player depth, it's not that great. I'm not talking about they don't have great players. I'm talking about maybe they don't have 14 teams which we pick from, or 29 teams that we pick from. But that, on the other hand, the positive is the synergy. You know, it's two clubs that the players come from, and one or two or three foreigners from abroad, outside of Scotland. So yes, I think the big thing is their cohesion and how they always train together and play together and know each other really well, and that always makes them a very difficult team to defend.
Rusty, just to let on Gavin's question, you do have players who come from Japan, and therefore they don't play as much rugby as compared to the ones based in Europe and based in South Africa. But do you sometimes look at the injury layoffs as blessing in disguise in terms of players getting rest? When you look at how compact and contracted is the domestic season?
Yeah, I did a study with, a guy did a study for us on guys who, let's say, he played 6 years and he was 4 injured. I asked him, is it like a car that stands in a garage? And it means, you know, it's a 1976 model, but for 5 years he stood in the garage. How much of an impact did that have on his prolonging his career? I mean, there's guys like Ergie Snyman, Lode Jager. Their age is maybe 31. I think Ergie and Lode is older, but the 5 or 6 years that they missed of rugby, how much older does the body get? And how much is the body actually get saved, or is it saved? Rested through those years. And yeah, the results were interesting. It varies from position to position, backline, flank, prop. So yes, definitely the wear and tear of players playing week in and week out is definitely tough then in going to a full-on test match season. But it goes in a roundabout, you know. We now are fairly fresh because we got lots of Japanese players in, and then we got guys who came straight from URC, but then we got guys who fell out of URC and didn't reach the playoff rounds. And they, like Sia, hasn't played for a month and a half, so he's well rested, and then he got injured. So it plays a massive role. And then the roundabout is at the end of the year, like some of the guys who played in the Island series will now be, or who lives in Ireland, Scotland, so on. They are resting now if they don't play for the international team, and then they are fresh for the URC. These guys play now full on, and then they go into the URC again. And then when we get to the end of year, we actually nicely into rhythm, and we at the end of our season, some of the guys who play. So we can moan now and say we're not ready, and we haven't played together a lot, but then the end of the year, we can say, we've played right through the rugby greatest rivalry, rugby championship in other years. Then we are really in sync at the end of year tour, and they are only beginning because they haven't played rugby after these 3 test matches that they play. So, it goes like that all the time. You can't always get everybody in sync until there's an international season.
Rassie, on Saturday you spoke about the contestable kicks kind of becoming the new set piece. Can you give a bit more detail on set pieces, traditionally the advantages with the team throwing in?
Yeah.
So how does...
Yeah, a kick-off, you kick, you don't throw in. So what I'm trying to say, no, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm really trying to say it's another source. Maybe I used my words wrongly at the press conference. I apologize about that. It's another source of possession. A line out, if the ball gets kicked out, it must be thrown down the middle. And then, although the other team kicked it out, both teams got a chance to contest for that. At the scrum, the ball gets thrown in. Then, same with the line out, same with the kickoff, same with the goal line dropout. And I just feel with the way World Rugby has cleaned it up now, that you can actually go up for a pure contest. When we kick the ball, it's not your ball. If it's a bad kick, it's your ball. If it's a good kick, it's a nice contest. So I think it's nice and contestable. And then there's this competition for the ball in the air. And if you don't win the ball in the air because the one jumped higher or jumped earlier or whatever the case may be, and then it's scraps. Everybody calls it scraps now. That's just the term all teams use now. And then that scraps becomes a competition. And then from there, who's a team who can set the quickest on attack and who can set the quickest on defense. So it's another, and that's why I think the rugby is some people might think it's boring, but I thought the way the laws was now interpreted this past weekend, I thought all games was really contested in every single area. Does it help you?
Yes.
Okay.
Rassie, just talking about contestable kicks, maybe the absence of contestable kicks. I wasn't there I was there at the game, and I didn't actually make the press conference. If you spoke about it there, I apologize. But the All Blacks, no.
I saw you alcohol-free now.
The All Blacks, you watched them play on Saturday.
Yes.
Everybody was talking about
Yeah.
their lack of their sort of apparent change. What did you think of them? I mean, I know they're coming up in a month's time, and you maybe don't want to talk too much, but were you sort of like, was there something that really took you in that game? I mean, that in particular? The game against France?
Yes. No, it was exciting to watch. On the one hand, we want the Southern Hemisphere teams to beat the Northern Hemisphere teams. It's just always been like that. I think most of us are like that. But then you see, we'll be in the same table, we're in the same log. Maybe they must lose. And so because there's 2 pools, I think that was the mind shift we have to make. But for me, the one overwhelming feeling in that game, and this is not criticizing, this was excitement. It's when somebody got into the 22, you thought the other team is going to score now. And then when the All Blacks got into their 22, you thought the All Blacks going to score now. It just looked like it was so, not frantic in a bad way, busy and exciting and dynamic. And I thought that was a really high-intensity game where I thought both teams ran each other off their feet, which were great to watch. I thought it was really a high-intensity game with lots of guys with X Factor in those games.
Last English question.
Hi, Rassie.
Hello.
When it comes to the testing of players, finding out what they can do in different situations, the new crop of players, how do you embrace that challenge in terms of the tests that the management wants to see? And looking at the young Z-Bot on Saturday comes through intensity. And this is like the warrior challenge. How do the rest of the younger crop of players embrace those Springbok tests?
How are those players doing?
So how sort of embrace that?
Oh, how do they embrace it? Sorry, I didn't embrace. No, well, hopefully the nice thing is, we always try to compare it with when you were 18, you went to the military, and then why is that so intimidating, and how do you find your feet? And it shouldn't be like that in the Springbok team. You know, when we were there was a senior and a junior group, and you were having to earn the respect of the seniors. I think that's changed a little bit, where you earn your respect on how you play rugby. And I think if you embrace that and you embrace that, but hey, this is a nice chance. I've always dreamed about this. You know, there's a lot of guys who got 1, 2, 3 caps. And you're nervous in your first cap and your second cap. And then somewhere you have to be calming down and just start enjoying, because that's what you dream of normally. And we would like them to quickly as possible get into that mindset of, I'm here now, I understand what the guys are saying, I know the guy next to me. You know, when I played the first time with Jannie du Plessis, he said for me, Oom, he called me Oom the whole time during the week, Uncle, Oom. And I said to him, shit, stop calling me Oom and start concentrating how you're going to play on Saturday. So, yeah, then hopefully the environment, which all coaches around the world try to do, and we also try to do, is, listen, you're here now, you're here because you are Ambrose Papier, he's not young anymore, but if you're younger like Zach coming in there, you're Zach, and this is how the game plan works, and now, apart from a game plan, you must bring Zach to the party. You know, otherwise we can just pick the strongest and most muscled guy, and everybody can be player X. You know, we want them to be Zach Porter, and to be Ambrose, and to be whoever, and hopefully within a plan we can create that, and yeah, and then the guy must try and deliver within himself.
As ons het maar die seisoen gesien die drie wat Ambrose met sy X-faktor vir die Bulls in die UFC gedruk het. Gegee hoe die Springbokke ook deesdae wil speel op van sien hoe skerp grond Saterdag op die aanval was. Moet jy opgewonde wees om te sien wat Ambrose span kan doen.
Ja, verseker. It's like ek weet as 'n mens by hierdie span aankom, dan is daar obviously 'n bietjie ander taktiese goeie wat 'n mens moet kan regkry ook. Die defense is vital, jou accuracy van jou skoppe is vital, maar as hy was sal ek ongelooflik opgewonde wees van ons is. En hopelik open die game op, dat daar daai geleenthede vir hom is, maar in 'n toets gewoonlik moet 'n mens maar 'n bietjie afbreek tot daai kanse kom. Selfs met hulle skram af, hy's ook maar hy snipey, ons het Grant op die bank ook, so hopelik kan hulle albei as die geleenthede kom, en is dit vroeg in die game is of laat in die game is, dis wat ons wil hê. Hy moet doen as hy geleenthede daar is, en obviously as dit nie daar is, dan moet hy help om hulle af te breek tot dit daar is, en hulle sal presies dieselfde plan hê.
Rassie, dieselfde vraag wat ek altyd vra, jou spankeuses en dan die rol wat beserings gespeel het, wat se uitdaging is, en wie spesifiek op die spankeuses, van net die rol wat beserings speel en hoe jy by die span uitgekom het. En dan vir Ambrose, ek dink in 2018, die eerste wedstryd wat jy begin het, was ek saam met Andrei teen Slotbrok. Tel vir ons van Andrei, en moeilik is om saam met hom te speel, en dan hoe jy voel, jy wil nou vorentoe gaan, wil jy jou plek behou in die span, en wat kan jy doen om die plek behou in die span?
Ja, ek sê antwoord. Okay, nee, hoe ons die span gekies het, is maar meer op 'n rotasiebasis wat ons, maar besluit in die begin van die jaar is nie maklike besluite om te neem nie, want ou wil altyd wen, en nou, soos ek maar altyd sê, as ou momentum verloor, dan verloor jy vertroue of belief, weet in jouself, en dis moeilik as jy op 'n verloor run gaan, en is ook dan self moeilik om jouself te back om changes te maak. So, ons sê maar altyd, hulle het al laasweek geweet, hulle gaan min of meer speel hierdie game, as dit goed gaan Saterdag, as dit Saterdag sleg gegaan, en dan sal ou 10-20 bietjie terughou het, en meer konservatief gekies het, en so wen help daarom dat hy ou bietjie kan roteer, dis 'n groot faktor. En dan beserings, nee, ek soos ek laasweek gesê het, baie keer is daar 'n blessing in disguise in dit, en dis nie omdat dit 'n cliché is wat ek dit sê nie, is maar, jy weet, as Siani onttrek het, hy sou Paul nie 'n kans gekry het nie, Siani nog hierdie week beseer was, hy sou Paul nie nou sy tweede game gespeel het nie, jy weet, so Cameron sou ook dalk nie gespeel het, as Piet in die slot toe moes gaan nie, en so, obviously ou soos Jasper speel nie hierdie week, nie oor hy swak gespeel het laasweekie, oor ons vir Evan 'n kans wil gee teen 'n sterker span. Ek dink die ander spanne wat Evan gespeel het, hy het al 8 toetse of 9 toetse ook self, so ou wil nou begin, ons glo maar, reg of verkeerlik, so 'n jaar en 'n half uit van die Wêreldbeker moet jy nou begin regtig weet wie gaan jy speel in die Wêreldbeker en alhoewel ons in 'n kompetisie speel nou wat vir ons baie belangrik ook is om die kompetisie te probeer wen, moet ons ook sien waar is party ouens nou en ja, so beserings, obviously party ouens is beskikbaar nie. Rotasie en dan omdat ons laasweek gewen het, voel 'n ou ook nou 'n bietjie bou daarop. Ons hoef nie nou weer sit om 'n rad terug en hou maar die balk van daai span en maak net 1 of 2 veranderinge nie. Ons het laas jaar ook maar so gegaan. Soos ons gewen het, dan was die volgende week verander. As 'n ou verloor dan hou jy maar bietjie terug en dis glad nie 'n handleiding oor ons nie Skotland. Wel Skotland het Engeland gewen in die 6 nasies en bole geëindig. So as jy net na stats wil kyk, behoort Skotland 'n tougher game te wees as Engeland. En ek sê nie dit gaan so wees, ek sê maar net as ou volgens statistieke gaan. So die ouens wat ons hierdie week gekies het, glo ons voluit in. Want ons gaan ons nou nie 'n span kies as ons dink ons staan nie 'n kansie. Reg.
Ja, ek dink my eerste game in 2018 teen Skotland, ja, dit was my eerste start gewees. En ja, ek dink ons het daai game ook gewen. So ons weet dit gaan 'n groot uitdaging wees teen hulle. Hulle is 'n goeie span en hulle dink hulle kan hulle koppe hoog hou met wat hulle gedoen het die naweek teen Argentinië. Maar ja, om Sampola te speel teen hulle is 'n groot voorreg en ook ek ken hom baie goed by die balle. Ons kommunikasie op die veld ken ons mekaar baie goed. So ja, ek sien uit na die game. Dit gaan 'n great game wees en ja,